Okay, hi, I'm Soumya. I lead the marketing and communications for sustainability at Zomato. So whatever good that comes out of Zomato, like the conference name suggests, I handle the marketing and communications for it. So a little about Zomato. Zomato's mission is better food for more people. And embedded in that mission is the objective to serve 1 million of people with high quality food and at a time and location of their preference, and also whatever palate that they'd like to have. We sort of provide about 80 to 85 different types of items on our Zomato app. And I primarily play a role when it's about talking about their sustainability journey, whether it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or it's their climate conscious deliveries, something that we recently came out with. We committed to 100% EV delivery by 2030 with Climate Group. And we very recently, on World Environment Day, on 5th of June, came out with that story. So communication plays a key role in talking about the good that the company is doing beyond their business. And today I'm here to learn from the panel here as to, like, I'm a budding marketer myself, so I'm here to learn from them what they have to say about the questions that we have for the panel today. I think Harmeet is also here. Hi, Harmeet. So I will dive right in the questions now. The first question that I have from all the panelists, but let's start with Ruchira. Uh, how do you approach the challenge of integrating global social initiatives campaigns with the specific requirements of local communities, particularly in areas with a high degree of cultural, social, economic diversity? And what approaches have proven successful in achieving this balance?
Thanks, Soumya, and really thank you for including me with this wonderful panel. I'm sure I shall learn a lot too, just like you. I think Diageo globally, just to give a bit of context, uh, we have very clearly crafted Spirit of Progress goals and a timeline to achieve those, which is 2030. Against those Spirit of Progress goals, which include everything from grain to glass sustainability, which includes, by the way, water, circular economy, etc., to DE&I, which is diversity and inclusion related goals, to actually moderation in drinking. It's something that we actually put out goals, and if you ever go to, I would encourage you to go to the annual report for Diageo globally. Literally how we have done against each of these goals is quantified and published for across the globe. So it is something we do take seriously. Those goals, when we look at India, we actually don't use them as a way to look at what we are going to do in a particular geography or with a particular kind of a community. We actually give that challenge over to our brands and to our business to say, how do we integrate into the ways of working? For example, in our plants, in our own plants, we now do use the same water over 9 cycles when we wash the bottles. Does it mean the bottles are not clean? No, it just means you treat it and then use it again before it goes into the final effluent treatment, and then it is used on site, right? Whether it is creating products, I mean, one product that we're very proud of, which we've created out of India, has won the most number of awards from India, which is Godawan. It is the most awarded single malt whiskey from India. I'm sorry, there's some background noise and scratchiness. Can I try another mic? Hello. I think this is better, right? So this is produced in a plant in Alwar, where we use 6-row barley, which is grown in Rajasthan, which is a water scarce region. So the barley is actually used to the less water and the poor soil conditions. It is a plant that is certified. as on water stewardship, because it uses less water than it puts out. We work with the local communities there on afforestation, building check dams, health and wash programs, including sanitation. So I think it's about, and then we talk about the fact that this brand, the proceeds from this brand, actually go towards the conservation and the regeneration of habitats for the great Indian bustard, which is, by the way, they number fewer than the number of tigers in the country, but no one knows about it. So, and we actually are always cheering ourselves when every time there's an egg hatched or there's a new chick, which doesn't happen as soon as you think. So I think a lot of these are integrated into the way we work, right? Equally, we put out stories which are entirely driven on purpose. We have a huge inclusion agenda for people, not just in front of the camera, where women are playing the lead role, but also behind the camera, everything from script to production to filmmaking. So I think the last number I checked was about 45 to 50% of everyone who worked on the film from scratch to final product are, come from a diverse background. So a lot of those things, and we put our money behind media, which also goes behind progressive. So progressive media outlets, outlets that talk to, let's say, women, or outlets that talk to people across the gender spectrum, LGBTQIA++. So we actually take it literally all across the chain, which is why we don't treat it as a global goal. It's something that you build into the way of working. I mean, I think that's, I can go on and on, so you should stop me. Yeah.
Great. It's great to learn that you are including women and people from LGBTQI community on roles, even which are not like front end, which sort of I think creates a appeal for the brand, but also like it's something that that is imbibed in Diageo's way of working. Correct. All right. Moving on to Anshika, how would you strike this balance at Shell India?
Thanks, Soumya, and thank you, e4m, and thank you for all of you to make it to the forum in this hot, hot afternoon. Okay, I think the larger purpose at Shell, and I'm talking about the master brand or at a global level, is all about powering progress. Yeah, and I think our challenge was to reinterpret it and make it relevant for the Indian audience on what does progress mean to an average Indian. And we chose mobility. So we said we will power and empower mobility because mobility is the anchor for fulfilling life's aspirations for a lot of Indians. Now we're an ambitious bunch of people, and especially mobility plays a very, very pivotal role in gender equality. Yeah, I think it's stated, it's well researched, and the point is already being made that when you enable equitable mobility or inclusive mobility, you also empower women, and that has a direct bearing on the socio-economic growth of a country, of an economy, of any cohort. So I think that's the spin that we have used. And we did this campaign called Great Things Happen When We Move. It pretty much anchors itself in the story and lives of women from 3 different spectrums of life. One of them, my favorite, Yogita, who's the first women truck driver. I think it's a very heartwarming story on how she has used her vehicle to enable, her own prosperity, her own growth, her own economic liberation. We have a second one, which is about Geeta Tandon. She's the first women's stunt woman in Bollywood. And we have another story of a leader who handles women in Wanderlust, which is an all-women travel group. So the intent was to say, make it relevant for India, for the Indian subcontext, versus borrowing something and making it look very alienating, to what we stand for. So I think that's how we have translated this global platform. Now I think the next phase of this is to what we internally call it, make it real, and we are enabling this, through a series of initiatives. One of them, and I think a multi-award winning initiative, is what we call as the silent shift. Being Shell, we do not have a lot of upstream activities, which essentially means we do not extract oil in India. We are largely in the downstream territory where we use the oil products to make lubricants, to make fuels, to make gas, and so on and so forth. So if you look at our fuel retailing business, We have about 350 fuel stations in the country, largely around the coastline, employing about 3,500 plus employees. And I think what we have started doing, and this is the second live site that we have, the first one in Pune, the second one in a very prime area in Bangalore, in Devanahalli, where it's an it's an inclusive kind of concept where the full fuel station is managed by people with disabilities. That's called silent because most of them have, hearing and speaking disability. So that's the silent shift we are making. We already have 2 live sites. It's not a pilot, it's a live site. And we intend to add 5 more by the end of the year. And in doing this, we are looking at a 40% representation of women in all our fuel stations as we go along.
Good to know that, like, I did not know about this program for partners with disability. At Zomato, we do have a similar program where we enable a partner with disability to deliver food on ground. And we have about 2,000 plus women delivery partners as well. And there's something in store for partners who are disabled by, like they have a hearing problem, they have a speaking problem. So it's great to see that Shell India also has something like that integrated into their business. Perfect. Okay, Ajay, can we have your 2 cents on this problem?
Yeah, so I represent Dabur, and Dabur has been a company, entirely Indian company, and right from the inception, we have been committed to this cause of whole thing. I think for a FMCG player, it's slightly different, and the issue is at 2 levels, or the solution is at 2 levels. One is, what we speak on each of our brands, women empowerment, whether it is Dabur Amla, Dabur Vatika and all, they speak about empowerment at a advertising level, so that gets communicated, and that also benefits women in a long term, because if you are having stories of empowerment going on media, and you are spending money on that, that builds a very positive atmosphere. At the same time, replicating what you speak on media on ground, so that there is a real empowerment happening. For instance, Vatika is a brand which is for women, and we've been on Vatika women as a concept from 1997 onwards, and there has been a continuous push on the brand to such an extent that our Indore factory and our Badi factory and all, they have women exclusive, workforce where, so Vatika is manufactured by women for women is the concept that we follow, and that's where the whole of encouragement happens. Coming to some other brands where we use this kind of activities, Dabur Glucose, where we stand for energy and all that. So we came out with this campaign, Ab Daudega Hindustan, and where we not only that, on screen that we talked about story of Sayali, who's a cobbler's daughter and has got potential to grow and become an Olympian. But that was a story that took rounds. But also identified young girls who were into athletics, etc., and shortlisted them and put them into rigorous training across India, so that they become empowered women of tomorrow, and they stand as examples and all. So I think while we do all this, for us it is a way of life, and it exists at 2 levels. One, create a positive atmosphere and spread a positive word by having brands and this cause together, and 2, then living that cause actually on ground, so that it actually makes the real difference in real India.
That approach, Ajay, that you just mentioned, perfect. So Harmeet, do you know the question, or do I repeat it? Okay, okay. Do I repeat it? All right. So the question was, how do you approach the challenge of integrating global social initiatives with the specific requirements of local community, particularly in areas with high degree of cultural, social, and economic diversity? What approaches have proven successful in achieving this balance for Body Shop?
Yeah. So a very good afternoon to all of you, and good dear panel members. As you all know, the Body Shop has been operating since almost 50 years, 5 decades, and the DNA is all about social and community support and protecting planet and many, I would say, various programs which Body Shop has undertaken globally as well as in India to help out and to support, certain, I would say, certain very, very key aspects for the people and the planet. Uh, we launched about 18 years back, and almost 50 plus programs what India conducted in this span. The projects which really helped culturally and a lot of people, a lot of diversity, and inclusivity is what we have been doing since a long time. Just to name a few projects, just to give a little background and context to what I would like to say, we have worked in the areas of against animal testing. As you know, the Body Shop being the first beauty brand in the world who wanted to, fight against animal testing, and very successfully we have been able to achieve that in many countries. Also, projects like women empowerment, where recently we did a project in India. This was pre-COVID. We launched a project in 2019, wherein we are helping the waste pickers in Bangalore. We are helping for women empowerment, and we are supporting almost a lot of families, like almost 2,000 women, with their families and their children education, wherein we help these women for a better livelihood. The Body Shop is doing the recycling program, plastic recycling, through the Plastics for Change, wherein these waste pickers are employed. So the good part was that we took this initiative, this was way back, and we found a lot of other brands followed, what we took. We thought, of course, this was a very key initiative to help out the communities out there. And just to talk about a very recent campaign which we are talking in the space of youth empowerment. The Body Shop had launched a Be Seen, Be Heard campaign, which I believe, I'm not sure if many of you have heard about it, but we're talking about the youth voices in the policy making, in the decision making, in the in the lower house, where the candidacy age is about 25 years, but we were hoping that if they can, lower down the age to 21 years, wherein it's a program which we actually launched along with our partners, where we partnered with the Young India Foundation, who is headed by Mr. Sudhanshu. And in the last 2 years, very successfully, we've been able to get about 25 million young voters, to the Indian electorate, and very happy that they were a part of the elections this year. And almost 1.5 million petition signatures. This is the main objective for this was that we like 2 years back, that the objective was actually to get the youth who are shaping our future, to get them actually, they need to be seen and they need to be heard. And very importantly, this is something which I feel a lot of us kind of, we don't forget, but probably we ignore. We don't listen to these voices because I think they are the one who owe the future. They're the one who are going to shape the future. So this was the objective which we started way back in 2022, and successfully we have been able to reach out to many youth collectives, I would say, which are in India, through many universities, colleges, many cultural events, and successfully even we keep doing these activities from day to day. And we're very happy that we are engaging with youth very, I know we are making them a very big resource for the future. Having said that, just to add that we had the 18th anniversary celebration very recently, which was last week. And as you were talking about inclusivity, I'm really heartened to hear you all about the inclusivity and how we are helping the visually impaired, or maybe, the people who are hearing impaired. We have just launched Braille's, the Braille signages in the Body Shop stores. This is something which we have taken initiative along with our young collective council, the youth collective council, wherein we have 4 members. We meet these members from time to time to take their feedback as to what exactly is needed, what is required to bring about a positive change. These 4 members are very dynamic. We have Ankita Mehra who's actually from LGBTQ community, and she's the one who has a strong voice as to how to be inclusive and how to be sensitive towards the community members. Having said that, we have almost 10 people, 10 staff within the body shop, and we are promoting more people to join us from the community. We just did the sensitivity training in all across our stores and our head office, so we are extremely, we want to just go ahead and just help out and make the, whatever we talk, we want to walk the talk in terms of helping and reaching out to these communities. So with the Braille signages in the store, we hope that a lot of people who love the body shop, who wants to come and experience the store, we are actually inviting them to come to our stores and be a part of the shop and of course give them a very great shopping experience. Yeah.
That's great, Harmeet. It's great to see Body Shop being a beauty brand give such a platform to youth voice. And I'm so glad to see so many of our panelists are doing such great jobs at diversity and inclusion, like including the partner with disability, which is like, it's a constraint, right? Like in this day and age, it's very important to give them equal opportunity to work. So it's great to hear all of your answers. Moving on to next question. I'm very interested in this question. Being a budding marketer, this is very relevant to me. In today's fragmented media landscape, where budgets for your, very emotional or purpose-driven campaigns is restricted, is sort of constrained, what strategies can ensure these campaigns achieve their significant reach? Let's start with Anshika.
I think it's a very relevant question, and all marketers love this question. I'll tell you how I approach it, or how we approach it at Shell. And of course, there could be diverse viewpoints on the multiple approaches that you could use to solve for this. So needless to say, marketing budgets are getting constrained. It's getting thinner and thinner from when I started to where we are. I think the bang for the buck, the ROI discussion is a real question across the length and breadth of any business that we execute. The bigger one is to say, do not treat your social purpose as a departure from your brand purpose. Yeah, it has to be fully integrated. I think in the earlier panel, I think Dilip mentioned this point, or somebody mentioned this point in the earlier panel, that being seen and being heard has become so much more important than what it was ever before. Yeah? And hence, every touch point and every communication asset that you develop has to solve and dial back to what the brand stands for and what the business needs to deliver. So if as marketers we stop to bifurcate and split ends and say, oh, this is purpose work and this is business work, I think we will really deliver much more from a brand standpoint. I think I spoke about how our larger brand purpose or our larger business purpose is about powering progress, and we dial everything back to it. So even in some of our communication material around social purpose, we integrate product choices as a very intrinsic part of our storytelling. And I think that's how we enable it at Shell.
Great. That's a internal fight that I have every time I have to launch a big campaign on sustainability. Anyway, moving on to Ruchira, sorry. How would you be addressing this problem at Diageo?
So first of all, I want to dispel a notion that the two of them don't matter or they're different things, right? All of our data today is telling us that young millennials and Gen Z actually want brands that are more conscious, not just about their role in the planet and the future of the planet, but also in delivering to them propositions that are not going to result in a larger harm or a larger issue in the environment. And this is true. This is also true in India, which we think of as more of a developing nation with lower per capita income. And we've seen it repeatedly on every single brand. So first of all, the two cannot and should not, in my opinion, I'm putting a very strong point of view, forward should not be two separate veins of activity. You know, we're doing this advertising for sustainability and we're doing this advertising for the product. Just like Anshika said, we also integrate brand purpose with the larger, like I spoke about the Spirit of Progress goals, which are our global goals. Brand purposes are derived from those SOP goals, what we call SOP 2030. Every brand has to have a purpose, even if you're never advertised. What is your purpose and what do you bring to the life of the consumer, which is larger than just the product delivery? Every single brand, right? And I have many brands in the portfolio, global as well as Indian. We then use that to actually drive, like you said, walk the talk. And walking the talk happens when you have backward integration, when your plants are doing a really good job on water efficiency, you're using renewable sources, you're employing people across the diversity spectrum. Only then can you start talking about the fact that your brand is actually going to do good. Otherwise, you're just talking. You're not really doing anything about it. I think Gurmeet, you spoke about that, and Ajay did as well. And finally, when you put out communication, there is no doubt, and I've shared this as part of a different forum on diversity and inclusion. Communication that is diverse, that talks to larger values, has a longer, not just medium, but a long-term impact, not just on equity, but also on sales. So there is a direct correlation that's been presented. There are many data and there are many business cases on this. So there is, to your point, Soumya, it's not a business case that needs to be made anymore, right? The last part is we do it, for example, on two of our largest trademarks. The one trademark is Johnny Walker, where we've got various extension brands and experiences that we market. In that, we actually got Aravani. Aravani works with people from across the gender spectrum and particularly with the transgender community. And we gave them large community spaces where they could actually put up their art. Aravani recently was at the Venice Biennale, and they were one of the most feted people presenting their art over there. So we gave them space to be able to talk their stories, and we worked with them on how we could actually build a larger conversation internally. Equally, for example, on signature packaged drinking water, we are in fact involved near Puri with mangrove regeneration. They're not only the largest carbon sinks, but they safeguard the coastline against all kinds of climate concerns. And they're also great for livelihood because mangroves are what result in better fishing opportunities, better, all kinds of basically community resilience and economic growth. So when we do this and then we talk about it, that's what we build back in our advertising and our communication. So 3 things. The 2 are not separate. Consumers want to know about it. 2, it has to come from your brand purpose. No brand should not have a purpose for what they stand for. And the 3rd, when you do it correctly, you actually get a huge impact both on medium and then on long term. Maybe not the short term. And a lot of performance marketing that came to the fore through COVID actually took away the real importance of building equity for the medium and the long term. And guess what? A lot of those companies are having to recraft or redraft their spend strategies because they figured that performance marketing actually going down the funnel, those ROIs are in diminishing returns.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Ruchira. Like, it's very important to integrate sustainability in your value chains while you communicate about your sustainability efforts. And I would like to tell you, I did a consumer research piece for Zomato to understand whether the consumers care about a brand getting into sustainability. Like, do they care how they are integrating diversity into their value chains, or how they're making their deliveries more climate conscious. It was very Zomato-centric research. But yeah, so they are like likely to order more from Zomato if they start hearing more and more stories and case studies around how Zomato is trying to build a more sustainable brand. So totally agree with you on that. Ajay, what would your take on this be?
So, yeah, I agree in a way because, whenever we say that marketers are faced with a situation where money is less and all, I kind of disagree. I disagree because, you know, in last 25 years of my experience, I think money has grown only. The way we look at availability of money uh, it needs a relook, because today the mediums are very sharper. You know your TG very well, and you can actually, and at a lesser amount of money, you can reach the right TG. And that's why this whole B2C piece, which has gone up, and that's why the Mama's Earth of the world, or many of such examples can be quoted. You know, where they have made it very sharp in terms of their communication reaching the right TG, and that consumes lesser money than ever. Earlier we used to have one DD1 and everybody was to be treated similarly, and with Star Plus, and the clutter increased. Today the clutter has deciphered, and you know, so money, if employed in a fashion where it has to reach the right audience, is not less but more as compared to what it used to be in past. And you know, Dabur being a company which is into multiple categories and brands and, you know, geographies, now we're global with the whole thing. Uh, I realize that this challenge of money has actually got sorted, at least for us here. Second thing, you know, how do you make it more impactful? One is that when a communication has to be made, either it is a brand communication or a purpose communication, if it has to make an impact, it requires two things. One is extensive exposure to media, which requires money. And, you know, the second thing is that how, you know, at a bandwidth level, you gel with the thought of the campaign and the brand. So I think there is a brand insight and there is a life insight. If you can marry both and come out with a communication which is more purpose driven, you know, you know, sells better, that gels better, and that basically, you know, gives you greater preference as compared to this thing. Two, I think, you know, consumers somehow, you know, they are able to decipher between, you know, one-off effort and a continuous effort. So if you have been continuously at a brand purpose and brand core, and you've been communicating that, I think consumers understand, and they kind of, you know, come with you, and they realize that this is another leg. I'll just give you an example, and this is slightly weird as an example, but in Hajmola, you know, Hajmola, we sell around 400 crores worth of Hajmola, and it's a large brand because it touches 400 crore consumers every year, and I think that's a large number. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's not a very high consideration category. You just need a rupee in your pocket to buy 4 tablets of Hajmola. So the consideration is not large, and it has got a nostalgic value because it's been there for a longer period of time. Very rarely you come across somebody who says that I don't know Hajmola. Now in such a market, when you have to, you know, rival likes of Perfetti and some other large confectionery brands, you require some purpose-driven communication, and you know, it doesn't come easily. And that's when you come across ideas which are more mainline, and we decided to come out with this Achai Ka Chatkara, where Achai actually, you know that there is goodness, but that goodness does not see the light of the day, because a large number of small social workers are working in remote parts of India without even getting an opportunity to be showcased. And that's where, you know, Hajmola came to forefront, and we came out with this whole Achai Ka Chatkara. And you'll be surprised that, you know, the first time that we aired it on digital, and we spent merely around 10 lakh rupees and all, we had 1500 user generated content on day 3. And you know, and then the whole journey continued. We came out with the second part of it, and then we did it on ground and all. And now it's a large campaign in our minds, and which, you know, marries the brand purpose and gives purpose to a brand which was not otherwise supposed to be associated with any large cause. At the end of the day, it's a 1 rupee 4 tablet brand. You know, what has it to do with something like a social purpose and all? So I think, you know, in just to sum it up, you know, I think, you know, your brand purpose and the life insight has to go hand in hand in order to have a larger impact. Otherwise, you know, we'll all be struggling with a communication which is either purpose driven or brand driven. I think both of them have to go together in order to make better use of money. The ROI discussions that we keep having, this thing can be, you know, swinged in the favor of a brand if both of them are put together and not treated in isolation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay. Thanks a lot for sharing that very interesting case study about Hajmola. It's quite insightful. Harmeet, you being the CMO for the beauty brand Body Shop, how would you like sort of reach that significant reach with all of these purpose-driven campaigns, and how would you, you know, drive the campaigns in Body Shop?
Okay, so thank you so much. But the thing is with Body Shop, Okay, I joined about 18 years back. 2006 is when I joined the journey, when the Body Shop launched in India. Uh, to tell you that Body Shop is a brand, it is a purpose-driven brand. It came, of course, from UK. As you all know, it's a British brand. And always the founder, Dame Anita Roddick, she's always wanted Body Shop not to be commercial. It's not only about selling beauty products. You know, it is about a purpose, that what are we actually going to define, that what the Body Shop can do and what the business can do, can be a force for good. So I would say the foundation has always been on purpose, is what I would like to strongly, reiterate. In terms of our many multiple programs which are purpose driven, I would just like to state one or two. Of course, there are many. You know, I can go on and on. But we have actually started an RRR program, which is Return, Recycle, and Repeat. This program we started in our stores, where we encourage our customers to bring back their plastic packaging. This is, of course, on sustainability and very purpose driven, because we are a brand who is selling products, but at the same time we are looking at, we want to be very, we want to make sure that we're not, the planet, we are protecting the planet at the same time. So we encourage customers to bring back their empty bottles, empty jars, and we of course reward them with something like some points, the loyalty points, which everybody loves at the end of the day, to come and shop more. These are the recycling program which I mentioned before, which we started with the PFC, which is in Bangalore, which I believe now PFC has a lot many beauty brand partners as on date. The second program which I would just like to highlight, one is this, and the second is where now we are transforming all our stores, like the Body Shop stores are getting transformed. We call them as activist workshop stores. The stores are made out of all recyclable and sustainable material. We are not using anything which is pure plastic or, we are actually only going for reclaimed wood, recycled recycling packaging. So if you enter a Body Shop store, please do notice that the complete shopping experience what you're getting is all on sustainable material. What you have, even the desktops and even the presentation tops where the tables are, they're all actually made out of recycled material. The project was almost started. It's been almost 6 to 7 years, and yes, it's taking time. We have already transformed many stores and many more in the process. Talking about marketing, how we want to make it very effective and optimize our spends. In today's world, as we all are discussing, that it is a very competitive scenario. So we have to know where we are putting our buck, where we know that what is our objective, what is our focus. So as I just mentioned, purpose is of course always in the forefront. This is something which we always want to be the front runners, I would say. We do a lot of these beach cleaning projects and many community small projects from time to time. But at the same time, yes, letting our consumers know, and especially the younger generations who probably may not know what is the origin, what is the brand ethos, where it's coming from. We're actually wanting to educate them and letting them know that what we want to do for them and what we want to do for the communities, so that they get more aware as to the Body Shop purpose, to be there as not just a beauty brand, but a brand with a very deep DNA. So this is what actually, I can go on and on. There are many more programs we've done. We've done 50 plus projects, programs in the last 18 years in India. Just to talk about few projects like Light a Little Life, where we worked with the foundation, with Miracle Foundation, where we actually helped all the COVID, the kids post-COVID. Miracle Foundation is an orphanage, and they have kids, who became orphans post-COVID. And we actually did this program where we collected donations, and we went ahead and we helped out these kids for their education and health. And we did this program extensively for 6 months in 2021. So these are the things which I would say defines us at the end of the day. Yes, we are in business, we are in beauty business, but at the same time we want to do which is much required in today's world, which is helping all, helping the communities and of course protecting our planet at the end of the day, because we take that responsibility. Thank you.
Thanks, Harmeet. I, for myself, love buying from Body Shop, and it's great to know the extended information that you just provide. Like, you are conducting so many initiatives and projects around the country. Okay, so we are done with the panel, but if we have any questions for any of the panelists from the audience, then we'd be taking that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open for questions and answers. In case you have a question, simply raise your hand and we shall pass on a mic.
Hi, good afternoon, all of us sitting here. I am Ashita Modi, and I am a brand marketer myself. And today, when we are talking about all these stories, purpose-driven marketing, this is something that actually pulled me to choose marketing in the first place as a career choice. So today, a lot of the statements that were made do resonate with me, but there's always a question that keeps going on in my head again and again, and I feel that today is the floor where I can ask this. Is that when we are sitting, with big budgets for marketing spends, and we are making those decisions, especially purpose-driven decisions, because usual marketing decisions have a direct ROI. But when we are trying to alter the brand positioning of a brand that has been there for some time, and all the panelists here, we're taking care of brands that have been there for at least a decade. So how much of it is driven by consumer insights? How much of it is driven by compliances, and how much of it is driven by pure emotion of philanthropy? That, okay, I have this position of power, or we together as a company or as a brand sit in a position of power and let us do something good for the society. The reason I'm asking this is because when I am sitting in those meetings, I don't know that what should be given maximum weightage. So this is something I wanted to ask.
Whom would you want to direct this question to?
No. This is for all of us.
Okay.
I mean, everyone. This is, I think, a question that everybody thinks about.
So, hi, it's a very, very interesting question. I think it's very important these days, and young marketers like you all, who are in the core of all these decision making. We, of course, day to day we face this when we make our budgets. As you know, the marketing budgets are there. And how do we actually have to prioritize our budgets and the dissemination of these budgets? So to get back to your question, it's a priority. It's the way the organization works. What is your organization looking at? Yes, very important that you're spending the money, you need to get ROI. We can never forget that. But there is a percentage of budget which is actually for building the brand, which cannot happen just in a month or 3 months. It is something which you need to, I would say consistently you need to be investing. So this is something which, of course, you have an alignment within your department or with your managers as to how we are going ahead and aligning this budget to make sure that we get ROI with the spends what we are doing, where we, of course, want to only invest money where we get a decent ROI, or else, or also invest money in programs or in certain things where where the brand can be more approachable and more meaningful, I would say, to the customers, to your TG. So this is something I think it's very internal, and we all have alignment. And of course, that's the reason you have strategy meetings, you have annual meetings, you have bi-annual meetings, and that is where you discuss all these things. That is your plan forward.
If I might, Ashita, add to what you said, really. You asked 3 questions, right? Is it consumer insight driven? Is it brand building driven and ROI driven? Is it compliance or emotional, whatever. Compliance or emotional, whatever. First of all, everything is insight driven. There is nothing without insights. So your core consumer insight should look at saying, if this is my brand purpose, this is my consumer TA, how am I best communicating the value of that purpose to that particular target audience? So first of all, insights is a must, and it has to come from something that consumers are resonating with. Yeah? The second one that you asked is compliance. Compliance is the worst reason to do anything. The worst, absolutely the worst. Compliance instead should be almost like saying we are also compliant, but we are brand building, right? It is necessary, not sufficient. It is an underlying condition, but it's not the reason why you do a campaign. To the third point, it's about how you want to craft your brand and your vision. So you can keep the organization aside. Some of the best brand work happened when a brand manager believed that their brand had a role in the life of the consumer, which was much larger than what the organization saw. And it's not always going to come with big budgets. In fact, I have been the most liberated in my career when I didn't have budgets. And I could actually go out and do what was right for the brand and do it in a way that I felt was important to consumers and to sell. Right? So the last one I'd say is people underemphasize the role of M&Es, which is measurement of effectiveness. Always, always measure. Find cheap ways to do it, find expensive ways to do it, whatever your budgets can take, and never let development costs get out of whack. But always measure. You will learn, you will course correct, and you will get better and better at delivering both ROI and brand purpose, which is insight driven. Yeah?
If you ask me whatever, all the questions got answered, I mean, a little bit of advice for young marketer here, I don't know which brand you are looking after and all that, but, the task becomes so much more easier if you are into, say, a purpose for a longer term as a brand. So that, every time that you do something, it adds and, it creates a synergy. In case you are faced with a brand where, there is brand purpose is not aligned with social purpose and all, try doing that. And by that, when we say that Vatika is a brand which is for women, find out a cause behind that and try to communicate so that, everything that you do as a brand task also, satisfies the social task in a way. And so, for instance, glucose for us is actually an energy brand. We sell around 300 crore odds of glucose, and we have many ways in which we can communicate. One of them was mainline when we pick up the cause of, a certain kind and then associate with that, so that, both get communicated together and there is no dilemma in terms of, whether I do this or that. Life, to be or not to be is something, not to be faced when your cause becomes your brand, or brand becomes your cause. I hope I answered.
I'm all good, but I think there were 3 points that you raised. Insight-driven, regulatory, or philanthropy. I think I will just wrap up the question by saying there is no organization is in the business of philanthropy. I think just to go back to the body shop example, we do recycled work within our shops, not because it's philanthropy, it's because consumers are really looking up to brands which are making conscious choices on the environment. So I think that's the reason, and it's not because it's cheaper, or is it because some of the leadership in the organization thinks a certain way. So yeah, it's all insight driven. It has to be rooted, to answer and respond to how the consumer preferences are being driven in favor of brands. Yeah. Thank you.